Alright, here we have part 2. Again, sorry for the terrible video quality, but I'm actually just uploading this straight from my webcam, straight to YouTube rather than editing everything or anything. Yeah, I forgot a piece of the swag that you get for Neverwinter Game Day because frankly I don't give a rat's ass about it. A booster pack of 8 D&D fortune cards, which in my case included a rules insert, which I was supposed to have the players use if they wanted to. But since none of us knew the rules, and none of us frankly cared to use them, I didn't have them. Use them. I am planning on in the future integrating fortune cards into my campaign in a completely different way. You know, not where it's something that happens all the time or anything like that. But more on that in a future vlog entry. It's interesting, and I think even dedicated players that don't like fortune cards will enjoy it. But yeah, a booster pack of 8 D&D fortune cards and 2 promo fortune cards. Pilot On and Overbold. Overbold giving you 10 temporary hit points when you spend a healing surge, but you grant combat advantage until the beginning or end of your next turn, I'm not sure. And Pilot On being something you spend when you spend an action point and you augment an ally's action point that is spent after that. Neither of which are very powerful in comparison to normal ones that I found in the booster pack, and the booster packs I've acquired since, which I did not buy. They were actually free stuff that I got because they were just leftovers. Anyway, I am going to review the actual quest now. The Gates of Neverdeath. First, negative points. One, the thing that unites the party together, the quest that brings them together, and the quest they're on for the entirety of this booklet is incredibly generic. That it's been done 1,000 times. It's such a stereotype. It's nearly to the status of killing rats in a cellar from old video games, like Dragon Age Origins makes fun of. It's like the start of every bad adventure tale. You start off as hired-on guards for a caravan of some kind transporting something, and it turns out exactly how you would expect and how it does every single time the caravan comes under attack. So it's incredibly stereotypical quest. They couldn't have come up with something else, but it's well used, I guess. It gets everyone to Neverwinter and introduces something that becomes important in the upcoming encounter season, which is actually here by now. Sorry about the delay in this video, but circumstances. Anyway, my other complaint is the difficulty of the encounters. They were okay, but in my case, I hear a lot of reports, recaps of this, where people had incredible difficulty with Encounter 2, which is the boss battle, basically, in which they face off with a necromancer and his zombie minions. It's like, oh man, this was freaking difficult. Half my party died. It's like, what? I don't see how this is a major deal. For one, the boss enemy is not even an elite. He's just 3 levels higher than the party, which is not enough to present a significant challenge. Sure, I had one player that did not roll an Essentials class, which this is meant for Essentials classes, but apparently those other things had a Warlord, one of the most broken classes in D&D 4th edition. I don't see what the hell they were doing that made it difficult, that my party was not doing, but the battle formation is just not conducive to an actual challenge. The fighter and the mage and the thief, no, not the thief, but basically 2 of the party members were able to get around the only 2 enemies that were protecting the boss, and basically kill him in 2 to 3 turns, while the rest of the party was handling everyone else. Sure, the main major danger, which is not the boss, being zombies that, when they are bloodied, they unleash a heavily damaging explosion that could cripple a party, is dangerous. Hell, one of the party members was able to almost immediately bloody one of those things before it even moved. So it basically went off harmlessly. And the other two, sure, they were a significant problem, but nobody died. And they had a grasp on the situation where they basically were able to pop off heals between the two. And maybe it was just happenstance. Maybe they just didn't happen to be bunched up at the wrong times when the ash zombies started going off like freaking grenades. And they didn't pop them all in a cluster. It's like they had time to recuperate between popping. So it was just sheer luck on that one. And they steamrolled the necromancer so fast he was only able to hit the party with his major grasping claws from below AoE one time before he was basically just rendered completely inert from the fighter and another enemy getting up in his grill, making it where he can't do shit. The boss enemy was just, through the circumstances, maybe I just hit that freaking narrow margin of fail in there that caused that. But they were easily able to separate him from his group. I should have at least made them an elite. Maybe I should have expanded his teleportation ability to like where it works, because they just drove him away from his party. And I can't say that it was because one of the players was playing an Avenger, because the Avenger never went for the Necromancer. He was only dealing with basically the hounds and the zombies. He didn't touch the Necromancer through the entire fight. That's my only two complaints about the Gates of Never Death. The battles weren't all that difficult, but they were fun. And the quest is stereotypical, but well written, and does what it needs to do very well. So all in all, I'd give this baby a 7 out of 10. If it were slightly more original and the battles were slightly more balanced, where consistency, it's a solidly challenging fight, not like, oh my god, crippling to some, and like, we just breeze through it to others. It's just, it needs more consistency, people. Consistency, please. But still, pretty well written. Another form complaint I said was basically there's a Deus Ex Machina moment where this happens no matter what. But, I really didn't see too much problem with that. It works. Yeah. But in a future video, I will be doing a run-through of this. Basically, if anybody's interested, it will turn into a Let's Play D&D 4th Edition thing, in which I actually run through this and then send the assembled party through the entire season of The Lost Crown of Neverwinter, which is the Encounters season that's coming up. So if you're interested in that, just chime in on that when it comes up. But yeah, I'm going to just close off the Neverwinter vlog entries by saying that swag was decent, especially if you were a DM or like posters. And I had a freaking hoot of a time. I had to go to Leavenworth, Kansas, which is a 45-minute drive away. And also there was a bowling tournament that the person that was driving us had to go to in Wichita, Kansas. And he did not exactly do terribly well, but that's mainly because of various circumstances with the course. Ask anyone there. The courses were just, not the courses, the lanes were a bit weird that day. It was either sticking or slipping or not slipping enough. I'm not a bowler, so I'm not a professional bowler, so don't ask me about all the semantics and everything. Basically, the lanes were giving a lot of people trouble that day because they weren't properly oiled or something. But yeah, ride down there was freaking grinding on the freaking patience, and I was like, oh, I haven't slept, because I didn't sleep the previous day because there was nowhere to sleep. Staying over at a friend's house with four other people, so there's not exactly a terrible amount of places to sleep, and I just couldn't sleep, and so we were basically going down the highway, not sleeping. I ran this after sucking down one of them tall energy drink cans that are like yay big and built like a thermos. I can't remember. I think it was like a Monster or something. Sucking down one of those on the way to Leavenworth got me where I could run the situation, and everybody had a blast at the event, and it's because it's just that well written. And afterwards, it was a long grinding trip to Leavenworth. The 45-minute drive to not Leavenworth, but the 45-minute drive to Leavenworth was not a grind at all. But the 3-hour drive after that to Wichita, that was a really, really unpleasurable experience. But because I was just freaking dozing and trying not to doze and having trouble dozing and having neck pain because I was kept dozing. It was like, where my reality is being torn. Because you know the whole thing where you don't get any sleep for a while, and then you get a little bit of sleep. Your perception of reality gets all weird. So it was a very unpleasant experience getting down there. But it was a nice hotel room. We all basically just 4 of us piled into one freaking hotel room. The guy who was bowling took one bed. The rest of us freaking took shifts on the other one. And I actually got a damn good bit of sleep because my friend Jack took a bullet for me and decided, well, I'll wake you up when I want to go to bed because I'm not tired yet. And then he ended up getting pretty much no sleep. So thank you for that, Mr. Jack. I got a good night's sleep, actually, because of that sacrifice. Very cozy bed. Can't remember the exact name of the place, so I can't promote it. I think it was like the Wichita Inn. So yeah, bowling tournament. Had a decent pizza at the sports bar in there. Played some pool. Not a good pool player, mind you. I suck. I don't really play pool all that much. I used to play pool a good many years ago when I used to be decent at it, and I had glimmers of my former passable skill, but it's been so long. There was just basically no way I was going to actually be competent at it. Yeah, but on the way back, we found ourselves actually, for some strange reason, making jokes in the vein of that song from, I think, The Lonely Island called Jizz in My Pants. Making, like, I jizzed in my pants jokes the entire way. I was like, looked across the flat Kansas plains and see Nevada, and I jizzed in my pants. And stuff like that. Freaking marveling at how flat Kansas actually is. Even though I live right next to it. I'm living in Missouri where there's like either buildings or hill in the way. Getting to like between Wichita and Leavenworth, freaking flat. Yeah, hijinks and the road weariness getting in our heads. Just had a weird hoot and hollering of a time on the way back. That was fun. Anyway, I've already DM'd one session of encounters at Gators Video in Leavenworth, Kansas. We actually aren't holding it at Gators Video on Wednesday because of scheduling conflicts. I can't be there on Wednesdays, and basically the only DMs that they have access to, because one of their employees quit, is in my group. So if we can't come on Wednesdays, they can't have it on Wednesdays. So we're having it on Mondays. So if you want to play under me and enjoy The Lost Crown of Neverwinter, and you live near Leavenworth, Kansas, go ahead and stop by Gators Video. I think it's on 720 Shawnee, and we will usually start around 6 o'clock p.m. at Gators Video in Leavenworth, Kansas. So yeah, stop by. Supposedly there's going to be 8 people there, so I probably will be not the only DM. My friend Jack's also a DM, so he'll probably be taking up a few of the extra people if there's complications arise. We'll probably have like 2 groups of 4 if more people come, which I hope more people come. At least 2 more people, so we can have 2 groups of 5. If you want to DM encounters and you're in the Leavenworth, Kansas area, stop by and help out. Bring your group. It's more the merrier. It's basically a huge, great place. Gators Video is a marvelous tour. Go ahead and stop by, even if you aren't going to play. I can't do enough to promote it. So yeah, Leavenworth, Kansas, on Mondays, D&D Encounters. We're a little behind. We are going to be one session behind because we just